Hello and welcome to Relatively Crafty, a knitting podcast. I am your host, Cristi. I hail from the Denver area of Colorado, where I live with my husband, Ron, and our two children, Tatum, who is 12, and Delaney, who is 9. And I have now been in Colorado for 1 full year, which is awesome. I am now able to kind of do comparisons to what life was like this time a year ago in Colorado, and I can say that it does seem to be cooler this autumn than it was last year. We arrived in Colorado like September 24th, I think, something like that, and we were still wearing shorts some days in October, the beginning of October. However, now it is quite a bit cooler, and so there have been lots of long sleeve shirts and wool socks and pulling out my knitwear, and I'm enjoying that quite a lot. My children are having a little bit of a hard time adjusting. They still want to go to school in just, short sleeve shirts, and Delaney is in just completely determined to only wear a lightweight hoodie over a short sleeve shirt, and I keep trying to explain to her that it's cold. Yesterday was like a high of 54 or something like that, and that maybe she needs just a little bit more than that, and she's like, "No, Mom, no, not yet." So she came home yesterday cold and wanted to snuggle up against me, who was warm because I had dressed appropriately, but she will learn soon enough. And it is October now. September is over. It went very fast. I'm kind of surprised. And so now it is October 3rd, and we are just shooting our way towards the end of the year. It seems like summer lasts forever, and then when autumn hits, then all of a sudden it's New Year's Eve, and I wish that this part of the year would last just a little bit longer, because this is my favorite bit. But I am enjoying it as much as I can. So let's talk about some administrative stuff. Oh, let me say first, you can find me on Ravelry as Cristi-Lael, and on Instagram as Cristi-Lael without the dash. That spelling for those is down below. And then we also have a Relatively Crafty Podcast group on Ravelry, where we have knit-alongs and giveaways and chatter and whatnot. We just wrapped up our summer solstice knit-along about a little over a week ago, and I am still waiting to hear from one of the winners for that. So if you haven't watched last week's podcast, I would encourage you to do so. I do announce the winners and talk about the summer solstice knit-along at the beginning if you only have a short amount of time. And we have started our autumn accoutrements KAL, which is going from September 21st, I believe, to December 21st, which is the entirety of autumn. I think maybe it's September 22nd to December 21st, which is the entirety of autumn, and you are encouraged to just knit accessories. So hats, cowls, gloves, scarves, shawls, leg warmers, boot toppers, basically anything except for garments, socks, blankets, that kind of thing. Anything that you would consider is an accessory. And yeah, you can knit any pattern, you can knit it out of anything, and you get an entry for every object up to 400 yards. And you get 2 entries for anything that is over 400 yards. So if you knit a 450 yard sweater, or not sweater, but shawl, then you would get 2 entries. And go ahead and mark that in your what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to take a tip from the grocery girls, and if you have a an item that is worth a double entry, then post 2 FO posts in the FO thread. That way then you have your 2 entries, and that will work perfectly. The sun has just come out from behind the clouds. It got really bright all of a sudden. So anyway, we are having that, and I encourage you to come and participate. There have already been quite a few FOs in the FO thread, which is awesome, and I need to start chatting myself in the chatter thread. I haven't done that yet, and I need to do that. So I do have something picked out for my entry in the KAL. But I will talk about that when I get to kind of future knitting. Don't forget, we also have our a single strand giveaway in the group right now. There is a thread where you can enter to win this awesome bag that was donated by the ladies over at A Single Strand. It has this Route 66 outside fabric and knitting stockinette fabric on the inside. It's a nice sized bag with a flat bottom, and it comes with a Dreamcatcher Progress Keeper as well. It's a gorgeous bag. I have one in this size and I absolutely love it, so I would highly recommend that you enter to win this bag. And I will keep that giveaway open for 1 more week, so I'll make the announcement of the winner on next week's podcast. And I do have some more A Single Strand news for later on, but that will be later on. I also have one more giveaway that I want to set up for this week, and it'll last 2 weeks like with the bag, and that is for this skein of Creative Obsessions Lovely Sock. Carrie at Creative Obsession is well, you know what, I'm going to say she's a personal friend of mine. I've never met her in real life, but I completely dig her. I love her podcast. She watches my podcast. We talk online, of course, and I just think she's an awesome person. And she donated this skein to the podcast, and so I want to have her own giveaway and not use it as a prize for one of the knit-alongs. So just like with A Single Strand, I'm going to open a thread in the group. And in order to be entered to win this skein, which is, as I said, in her lovely soft base, and it is in the Campfire colorway, and it is just absolutely gorgeous. Carrie recently knit up this colorway on her own podcast. I will link her podcast down below. And a couple episodes ago, she had knit a pair of socks for herself, I believe, out of this colorway, and it knits up gorgeously. So I really encourage you to enter to win this skein. But as I said, in order to enter, you need to be a member of the group on Ravelry, you need to be a subscriber to this podcast, and you need to go to Carrie's shop and pick out the thing that you think is the best in her shop. She has lots and lots of amazingly gorgeous hand-dyed yarn. She also has some project bags now and again, and she's just very talented at what she does. So I will open that thread up today probably, and I will leave it open until 2 weeks now, so not next podcast but the one after, and we will do a drawing for that. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into the knitting, and I guess we can start with what I am wearing. I am wearing the Dorflinger tee, which was designed by Mandy Moore, and I knit this about 2 years ago, a little over 2.5 years ago. I knit it in March of 2015, and I will post a picture of me wearing it back then, and so you can kind of see the rest of it. I knit this out of Cascade Venezia, I think that's how you pronounce it, bulky, which is a 70% merino and 30% silk, and it's completely lacy. This lace panel is all the way down, and it's very basic. It's short sleeve, and it just goes down all the way. I did make some adjustments. It had no waist shaping, and I need some because I'm kind of hourglassy, and although the bottom of my hourglass is quite a bit bigger than the top, so I added some shaping, and I did that with just some stockinette panels on the side that I added. I don't I don't know if you can see that there, so I added some stockinette there on the side so that I could add some shaping. I also made it a little bit longer because in the pattern page it is meant to sit right at your, like the waistband of jeans, and I need things to be a little bit longer, so I added some length that way. And then I also knitted on an 11, which is a whole size bigger, well, I guess 2 needle sizes bigger. It calls for a 10. And so I knitted on an 11, and I think that it worked out perfectly. I had finished it ages ago, but in Southern California I hadn't had much need to wear it. I had originally thought that I would put it over like a tank top and wear it in the warmer months, but even with the big lacy openings, it still tended to be too warm for California, so it kind of just sat. In fact, I didn't even end up blocking it until yesterday. As I said, it's been getting colder here, and so I have found a need to pull out my knitwear, and I don't want to wear the same sweater over and over and over again, so I've been kind of pulling out some of my older stuff, and I thought, you know what, I could wear this over a long sleeve shirt. This is just like a Henley long john type shirt, and I could wear that over that if I blocked it. And so yesterday I blocked it. It's amazing what blocking does, because it always felt like it was a little bit too small, like a little bit too snug to be comfortable. It fit, but it was a little too snug. But now it's blocked, and so it fits perfectly. And so I think I will get quite a lot of use of it during this autumn, and maybe even next spring. I don't know that I'll be able to wear it when it's really, really cold, because it is holy, but it is perfect on a day like today. It's supposed to be like 58 degrees today, so this is exactly right. And yeah, it's nice to finally get some use out of some of these things that I knit so long ago. For me, I go back and forth between being a product knitter and a process knitter. Certain things, like socks, I'm definitely a process knitter. And so it's not about having the socks, it's about making the socks. I really enjoy making the socks, but sometimes there's things that I really want the product of, and then I get frustrated because, well, for the longest time I didn't live in an environment where I could use the product. I always enjoy the process, generally. There's a few things that I've hated making, but for the most part I enjoy the process. But it is nice to get the product finally out of these things. So, okay, well, that is what I am wearing, so let's go ahead and talk about FOs. I have a few FOs, like 4 FOs to show you this week. Lots of them are socks, but that's okay, right? And I'll just go ahead and start with the socks that are on the blockers currently. I finally finished my friend's socks, guys. If you've been around for a while on this podcast, then you know that I have a friend in Canada who went to a fiber festival in Canada in like May, I want to say, maybe April, and she picked up 2 sock blanks for me, which are Bling Your String, dyed by Erin of Bling Your String, and when I offered to reimburse her for the 2 sock blanks that I asked her to pick up, she asked if I would be willing to knit her 2 pairs of socks, instead of payment, and so I agreed to do that, and then I got the yarn, and I started pretty quickly, but I kind of got stalled on these. This yarn is Stashables.co.nz. So it's a New Zealand-based dyer, and the colorway is Rainbow Lorikeet, and it's a very kind of a rustic feeling yarn. It kind of feels like opal, so it's not very soft, and I am not a personal fan of the way this colorway knit up. So I kind of stalled because they just weren't as enjoyable to knit as I normally find socks to be. I ended up knitting the other pair of socks for her like at the end of last month, and you saw those on that podcast, and I had one sock done, and I just needed to get the other one done. So I finally set myself down and said, okay, Christy, it is time to put on your big girl pants and just settle down and make the blasted sock. And so I have done that. So the pattern is my own basic recipe. I did a Turkish cast on toe up, I did a fish lips kissed heel, and then I did 1x1 ribbing with a Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off, and they are now done, and I can now ship them to my friend in Canada, and I can stop feeling guilty about putting them off. And Sam, I am so sorry if you watch this. I am so sorry that it took me so long to get this pair of socks done. I think I started these in July. So I really should have had them done a long time ago. But now they are done. Next, I finished my September. I forgot about the month. My September entry for the Box of Socks KAL, which is run by Kristen of the Yarngasm podcast, and the idea is that you just knit a pair of socks for yourself each month. I guess you don't have to do it each month. You just have to knit 12 pairs in a year, but I am doing it each month, and I have set aside my oldest stripy sock yarns with which to knit my box of socks. And so this is September's entry. The yarn is A Million Stars in her Cirque Twisted base, I believe, and the colorway is Electric Boogaloo. It is just the greatest blue and bright green striped, and I love her two colored stripes because they're nice and thick, and I just really love the look of big thick stripes. When there's multiple colors, I like them to be thinner, like 4 or 5 rows, but when it's just 2 colors, I like a good 8 to 10 row stripe. And you might notice that, well, let me say, I did these with my regular stripy recipe. As I said, pretty much all the socks that I knit are going to be knit with my basic recipe. Toe up, Turkish cast on. This time I did a true afterthought heel, and then ended with 1x1 ribby with Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off. And you might notice that the heel is a different color. And I did that because the heel placement fell right in between the 2 stripes. And so when that happens, I don't like to use the stripes, especially for a 2-color stripes, because that makes one of the colors look so big, either at the top of the heel or at the base of the foot. And so I just went through my heel toe cuff stash. I have a little box here that has just a bunch of little bits, minis and whatnot that I use for heels, toes, and cuffs. And I think this is the leftover from this pair. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's from this pair that I knit a couple of months ago. This is also a box of socks skein, or pair of socks, and this is Delectable Dye Works in her MCN base. I can't think of what that's called. It's not Entree, something else. Anyway, so it's an MCN base, so the heels are very soft and luxurious. But I absolutely love the way these socks came out. I love that the yellow heels don't match, and I think that's awesome. I think that we should do less matchy-matchy in the world. And I say that fully understanding that the rest of the socks entirely match, like completely in every way. But there you go. I can do that because they're my socks. And these will now go in my box, right there, for my box of socks. You can see I now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pairs. I have enough room for the final 3 pairs, although I may end up having to move my little mini socks out. And for those of you who have been paying attention to my mini sock knitting, I will say that I have not knit any mini socks for the past month. I think I knit most of September's socks before, so those are already knit. Yeah, like that, and so that, I don't have to worry about that, but I am not feeling the mini sock right now, so I am just putting I'm like setting aside 6 grams of all the socks that I knit since the September socks, and I'm just putting those aside in a bag, and I will eventually have a day where I can't start anything else and need to knit something quick and easy, and I will just knock out a bunch of mini socks. So I am still doing it. If you're new to the podcast, then I'm knitting a mini representation sock for all of the full-size socks that I knit this year, and one of these days I'm going to string them up in a garland and hang them up in my room, but I haven't done that yet, obviously, because they're still sitting in this box. And the pattern for the mini socks is, I think it's just called Mini Socks by Classic Elite. So there is that. I have a link for them down in my FO section of my show notes. I have one more pair of socks finished. These ones were ones that I had been trying to knit for a long time, and finally cast on in September. And so I am really thrilled that I got them done, because I love them. And that is one of the sock blanks that I knit these socks in payment for. This is a Bling Your String sock blank, which is dyed by Erin, and the colorway is Kiss and Teal. And yeah, they are, again, my basic recipe. Toe up with a Turkish cast on. I did a fish lips kiss heel, 1x1 ribbing, Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off, and I love them. Sock blanks, of course, don't knit up identically, so you can see that they are not matchy-matchy, but I do love the way they knit up. It's kind of like hand spun in a way, because they're just funky. I love this kind of look. This is what the sock blank looked like before I knit it. I have that much left, so I might use that for heels and toes, maybe, or put it in a blanket. I do have plans to to crochet a granny stripe blanket, or a corner to corner, actually. Well, maybe both. I don't know. It depends on how much I love the crocheting or how much I hate the crocheting. Anyway, so I finished these and I absolutely love them, and I have been waiting so patiently for today to be able to wear them. So these will definitely be on my feet tomorrow. Okay, that's all these sock FOs, but I do have one more FO, and that is Tatum's sweater. It is complete. And I will post a picture of her wearing it. It fits exactly right. Right now it has not been blocked, so I do expect it to grow a little bit, but that is exactly what I wanted. I want her to be able to get at least 2 winters use out of it. It'd be even great if she could get 3. But I am waiting. She has really sensitive skin. As I've mentioned before, she was a preemie baby, and so I think that is what has contributed to that. It seems to be a common issue for preemies. Like they didn't get to cook long enough, so their skin is sensitive. So she is really sensitive to scratchy, itchy things. And so she can wear this with a long sleeve shirt, but she can't wear it without. And so I'm hoping to soak it in some conditioner or super soft wool wash in order to soften it up. But I haven't done that yet. I wanted to wait until I showed it to you guys on the podcast. If you haven't seen it before, this is the Flax Sweater by Tin Can Knits. I made a few adjustments. I striped the sleeves. I did not do the garter panel that goes down the side of the sleeves. I made the sleeves thumb sleeves, so that she could because I just like that. I'm totally making myself this pattern, and I'm going to make myself with thumb sleeves because thumb sleeves rock. I remember being 20, and when I was 20, I lived in Alaska for 4 months. And I went to some thrift store, and I found this olive green Fair Isle sweater with a Fair Isle panel across the chest. And I don't even remember the panel, but I remember it was olive green, and it had thumb sleeves. I don't think that it had originally been made to have thumb sleeves, but the previous owner had cut holes in the sleeves, and man, I wore that thing like crazy. I wore it out, and I probably spent $2 or $3 on it. I wish I knew what I'd done with it. I probably got rid of it. I mean, this was 20 years ago. But anyway, I finished Tatum's sweater, and if you were here last week, then you recall that I'd had a line where I had changed colors here, and so what I had opted to do with the suggestion of AOR journals is that I put the sweater back on the needles, one needle above the line and one needle below the line, and then I cut it, unraveled it, so I had it in 2 pieces. This bottom piece was one piece, the top piece was another piece, and then I connected the green yarn, knit about 2 inches, and then Kitchenered it together here. And I'm pleased to say that you cannot really tell that it is Kitchenered, so I feel like it turned out very nicely. And yeah, and so now it is long enough for it's longer, which is good, and you can no longer tell that I changed skeins, which is good. And so yeah, so Flax Sweater by Tin Can Knits. I knit this out of Madeline Tosh DK in the Oceana colorway, and then I used some vintage, which is actually a worsted Madeline Tosh for the green, and that is in apple green, but it did not change my gauge enough to really make a difference. You can see right there. And so so yeah, it is done, and I will be blocking it soon and soaking it really well, and hopefully Tatum can start wearing it, because I think it's awesome. I'm kind of bummed out that it fits her and it doesn't fit me, because dude, I would totally rock this sweater. And that is all my FOs. So let's go ahead and get into my whips. I have a couple of whips. I have sock whips, like this one. Look at it! Isn't it gorgeous? So this is my Lolo Did It in the Hippo for Halloween colorway, which looks like this in the skein, and oh my gosh, I'm so in love with this color. I should have ordered 2. I should have known that I would love the Hippo for Halloween. I mean, it's neon green, it's purple, and it's burnt orange. I mean, how can you not love that, right? So I am pairing it with, you can see that I haven't done very much of the sock, but I did do the toe, and I am pairing that with this Lil Lolo, which is in the Blazing 7 colorway. Let me confirm that. Yeah, Blazing 7's colorway, which is not the colorway that I showed you guys last week. When I had talked about knitting this sock, I had shown you this one, which is troll hair, and well, this one does go fine with the Halloween colorway. I thought that the Blazing 7's, the burnt orange, goes better. It's almost an exact match to the orange in the Hippo for Halloween colorway, and I have the Hippo for Dia de los Muertes color, which has an almost exactly matching orange in it to the troll hair. So so I am instead going to use this with this. And so yeah, so Blazing 7's, I obviously haven't gotten very far into this sock, but it is only the 3rd of the month, and I couldn't start these until October 1st. So I will be making my way through those. I expect that they will not take me too terribly long, although I may not have a finished pair by next week because I am working on some other things. I am working on a pair of socks for my husband, which is unusual because I have been knitting for 10 years, give or take, and I have only knit him one single pair of socks in that entire time. Now you have to remember that I have knit over 200 pairs of socks. I don't know exactly how many pairs of socks I've knit. I know that I have knit nearly 50 in this year alone. So I'm just trying to kind of let you know that I knit a lot of socks. And so it's a little bit strange that I haven't knit some for him. I have knit more socks for strangers online than I've knit for my own husband, with whom I have shared the past 19 years of my life. But with him, he doesn't really ask for knitwear, so I don't think to knit for him very often. The few things that he has asked me for, like last winter he asked for some fingerless mitts to wear while he was driving to work. He leaves for work early in the morning and it's really chilly in the winter, and so he asked for some fingerless mitts for that. I made him those. He asked for... No, I guess that's about it. Oh, no, I made his dad a pair of half-fingered mitts a couple of years ago, and Ron asked for a pair of those after he had tried on his dad's. But really, he doesn't ask for much. So the pair that he has, and I did hire, like 8 or 9 years ago, I hired a knitter to make him a pair of socks. So he has like 2 pairs of hand knit socks, and he wears them every once in a while. When it's really cold, he wears them kind of like slippers. So I had picked up some yarn for him to make socks, and I asked him the other day if he would actually like that. I had mentioned that I had made a pair for Delaney and that Tatum was asking for socks, and so I just wanted to know if that was something that he would even want. And he was like, yeah, are you talking about like slipper socks? And I said, no, for like, you'd wear them to work. Well, yeah, but they have to be tight so that they don't slip around. And I said, well, I can do that. So I grabbed one of the skeins that I had pulled out to make him a pair of socks. It's this Regia Perfect in the cinnamon colorway, I believe. And you can see what the socks are going to look like when they're done there. And they're made to make perfectly matching socks. There is a yellow, you can see the yellow here, that kind of separates between the 2 socks in the skein, and then it also has a bunch of yellow at the beginning of the first sock so that you know exactly where to start. You can make them match exactly, and so I have started him a perfect pair. And here is what I've got so far. Now, Perfect is designed to be knit top down. So I have started with the cuff, and I have used, you can kind of see there's a little ring of yellow because I like that added bit, and to do that, and also to ensure that I start at the exact same spot, I start my cast on right where the color changes. Like I put my, when you're doing your long tail cast on, I put the color change right there, and then put my needle right there and start my cast on, so that the top has the one color, and then the ridge of the cast on at the bottom has the other color, and I think it adds just a little bit of flair. So I have that, and these are very simple to make because you just basically rib until the color changes. So it's got this nice tan ribbing, and then it goes into this chocolate brown, and then it's got these. So far I've got 3 different stripes. I'm going into the 4th stripe, and I think there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, seven stripes, and then I will go into the heel. And I think that, well, according to the thing, I think it's got a short row heel, but I probably will do a heel flap and gusset, just because Run's got pretty wide feet, and I want to make sure that these fit nicely. I did cast on 70 stitches, and I may go down a lot. I knit 64 for my own socks, and I thought about 68, but I didn't want them to be too tight, and I know that the leg has a little bit more wiggle room. But like I said, he's got Fred Flintstone feet. His feet are very wide. So I'll do 70 stitches, have him try it on when I've got the leg almost completely done, and then I can see what I need to go down for the feet. But yeah, I'm not, like, I don't feel any pressure to get these done before the end of the month. Like, these are just kind of work on while we're watching TV socks. So they'll be done when they get done. But I did make quite a lot of progress last night. I had just the ribbing done, and then we sat down to watch Heroes. We're watching Heroes with the kids, which is an old superhero TV show from like 10 years ago. And we just finished catching up with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., except for the most recent season, and so I thought that the girls would enjoy Heroes. There are some spots in there that are a little bit grown up, and so we have them cover their eyes, but they are enjoying that. So I knit this all while we were watching one episode of Heroes, so I may end up getting these done a lot faster. The yarn is fine. It's a 75-25. It's not soft, but it should be hard wearing because of the 25% nylon, so they should last him a long time. And if he does like these, I do have another skein of Perfect in my stash, and I have 2 other skeins of Regia or Opal that I can also use for his socks. I also have some stripies that I can use for his socks as well. If he really starts to like hand knit socks and wants me to make more, then I'm going to start upgrading the kind of sock yarn that I use for his socks, because I mean, let's be honest, knitting Regia or Opal is not as pleasant as it is knitting with indie dyed sock yarn, especially indie dyed stripers. So if I'm gonna have to knit socks for him in more drab colors, because that's what he's gonna require. He's not gonna wear chartreuse socks as much as I would love to be able to knit him with chartreuse socks. Those are gonna have to go for me. So I should at least pick some really nice quality yarn that is fun to knit with. And I'm carrying that in my Heidi Monkey box bag, which I absolutely love. This was up until recently my only Halloween bag, and so I used it every October, and it is nice to pull it out and use it again. I didn't say that my Hippo for Halloween socks are in my Laughing Stitches autumn sock bag, which I realize is not a Halloween bag, and I really should have Hippo for Halloween socks in a Halloween bag, but I can't not use this bag because it's so gorgeous, and it's brand new still, and I just absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. And then in my Harvey the Chipmunk, Harvey the Chipmunk, I almost said Harvey the Hippo, Hippo's on the brain. In my Harvey the Chipmunk bag, which is sewn by You So and So, is Delaney's sweater, and I've just barely started it, and I might end up having to rip it out. We'll see. This pattern is called Calades by Jen Joyce Design, and I am knitting it out of Ella Rae Chunky Merino Superwash in a royal purple and a royal blue. They have numbers like 34 and 32, I think. And so this is all that I have cast on. It's not very much. I did not do a gauge swatch. I am kind of feeling like I need to do a gauge swatch because this does look small. Now it is on a small needle. This is only a 14-inch cable. Delaney is a 28-inch chest circumference, but I am making the 30-inch, which is the smallest size in this pattern. It is actually for adults, but with Tatum, I want to have Delaney be able to wear it for more than a year. So anyway, I cast it on. It still looks like it's going to be small. It is like unstretched at a 22-inch, so I may put this on hold and knit a gauge swatch to make sure I get gauge, and then continue on. And the KALs, I'll post a picture here so you can see it. It is a bottom-up raglan sweater, and I have royal purple and royal blue, as I had mentioned, and Delaney wants the sleeves to be blue and the body to be purple. And I was lamenting last week about how I was going to do that because it's raglan, so I can knit the sleeves up to here in blue and the body up to here in purple, but once I join it, it's going to all need to be one color. And I was contacted on Ravelry with the suggestion that I knit it in intarsia, which is a great idea, and it's something that I was thinking about, but intarsia is generally back and forth, so if this was a cardigan, it would be perfect to do intarsia. And I was like, well, I don't know if I can do it because it's in the round. So I did some research, and I did find out that you can do intarsia in the round. Sorry, the cat is yowling. I apologize. She just left me. She's been laying here next to me this entire time, so she knows exactly where I am. Anyway, so yeah, you can do intarsia in the round. You do it with a wrap and turn at the back. So you knit around, you do a wrap and turn, and then you go back the other way and do a wrap, and you pick up that wrap, the previous wrap, and then do another wrap and turn and go back, pick up that previous wrap, do another wrap and turn and go back. So I think that's what I'm going to do, and I will knit her it exactly the way she wants it. So to kind of look like a baseball shirt, you know, the shirts that they wear underneath their jerseys, and I think it's going to be great. So yeah, as I said, I do have the ribbing just barely started. I think I might start again, but if that took me maybe 20 minutes. And then lastly, in my Whimsy Stitches bag, which I love, I have my We Historic cardigan by Kate Oates, which I am knitting for Nikki of the Woolly Elephant. It's like mammoth? No, I got dinosaurs in my brain, so I'm thinking a woolly mammoth, and I'm like, no, that's the wrong, close, distant relative. So anyway, I will post a picture of what the sweater is supposed to look like, and here is what I have so far. Look at how tiny it is. Isn't it so cute? Let me show you the back. I love knitting baby things. So this is the newborn size. The baby's due in January, so it should fit exactly right when he comes, and I am knitting it out of Wonderland yarns in the Mad Hatter base, which is a sport, although I am getting gauge. This calls for a fingering weight. I am getting gauge, so it is a very light sport. And the two colorways are Phantom Wise and Caterpillar. and you can see that I have taken the sleeves off and I am working my way down the body. I have about 1.5 inches left to go, maybe 2 inches left to go before I start the dinosaur panel, and it is working out very lovely. I love the way that the purple is working with the blue. It's just adorable, and it has a little made with love progress keeper. I figure Nikki made him with love. I can make the sweater with love too. There you go. So hopefully this will be done by next week. I just started it yesterday or the day before. Baby knits work up fast. They work up super duper fast. So yeah, that should be an FO for next week, Nikki, and then I can get it shipped out to you. I'm doing a huge international shipping plan for next week. Like next Tuesday after I podcast, I'm going to be taking a bunch of things to the post office to ship internationally. 2 of the winners from the Summer Solstice KAL are international, and then I have Nikki's sweater, and then I have this sweater that I knit for my friend in Leeds. I have my Canadian friend's socks. There might be something else too that I have to knit, or that I have to ship to outside of the US, and so I'm going to just kind of knock it all out at once. Okay, so that is all the whips that I have. I do have some future knitting that I would like to talk about before I get into my yarn haul. The first one is my Desert Vista Dye Works box of socks for this month. I think I announced last week that the winner of the Instagram poll was the Jen and Dean colorway. And so I have caked that up, and I will be starting that soon, probably once I finish my hippo for Halloween socks. And then I also have my box of socks pick for this month, which is this colorway, which I absolutely love. This is another A Million Stars. And I think, honestly, I think I only have one more skein of hers in my stash. I need to buy some more. I've knit most all of her yarn this month. It's let's see, one. I've already knit 3 skeins of it into socks for box of socks, and then this is going to be the 4th, and then I've got a 5th one. I might have one more skein in my stash. I'm gonna have to resupply. So this colorway is called We're All Mad Here. It's an Alice in Wonderland reference. If you're not familiar with me, then you should know that Alice in Wonderland is my absolute favorite story, and I collect Alice in Wonderland memorabilia, and so having a colorway named after Alice is perfect. And it's like a nice aqua teal and yellow and red, and it should be gorgeous. And then I also have my hippo for Dia de los Muertes that I need to knit up, and I was kind of hemming and hawing about what I was going to do with this. Last week I was saying that I might not make, because I have 2 hippo colorways to knit up this month, but I don't have to make them both into socks. I can knit them into anything as long as I make them out of 100% Lolo Did It yarn. So I'm actually thinking about using this with the Lucky mini that I bought with it, and the Troll Hair mini that I discussed earlier. Stay up there. Oh. There. No, there. And knitting this into a cowl, actually. I'm not sure what pattern I'm going to use. I was going to do one like the one that Amber of the Yarn Hoarder podcast just talked about in our last podcast with, stockinette and then solid color welts, but I actually kind of was looking at maybe doing something like the 3-color cashmere cowl. I want to do a cowl that I can kind of incorporate a couple of colors, these 3 colors specifically, and maybe do it like kind of like a sampler type of an idea. So if you have a pattern in mind, let me know. I don't want something really big around. I want it to be more, like I don't want it to wrap it around. I want it to be solid, 1 tube, and yeah, that's what I'm planning on doing with this. I think that I will get some use out of that. Plus, it'll be fun to knit. And then the last dream knitting or future knitting that I have planned is kind of goes on with my my yarn haul. So I'm going to kind of use this next dream knitting project as a segue into yarn haul. Ellie of Skein Knits podcast is a phenomenal knitter. She's Norwegian, living in London, and she knits a lot of traditional Norwegian patterns, lots of color work, and it's absolutely gorgeous. And she has been designing things. She has a mitten club that has been going on. There's been 3 mittens released for that, and it's absolutely gorgeous. But she also just released her pumpkin spice mittens, and I absolutely love them. Now, I am not a fan, I'm not anti-pumpkin spice, but I'm not one of those people who is like, ooh, September's here, now I can have pumpkin spice everything. I do like the flavor of pumpkin, and butternut squash and that kind of thing, but I don't really drink pumpkin spice lattes. So I'm posting a picture of what it looks like. I like the pattern. I am going to change. I don't know if you can see that it says I love PSL. I love pumpkin spice lattes. I think I'm going to change that to say I love TEA, because I do drink a lot of hot tea in the winter months. And I think that will work out just perfectly. And so what I am going to use to make those is this. This is Jamieson & Smith, the 2-ply jumper weight, which is what Ellie used for the pattern. The colorways that I have are number 91, which is kind of a nice orange, like an orangey yellow, almost like a sunflower. And then number 38 FC, which is kind of an orangey brown, and I think that is a good contrast. I have 2 skeins of each, so I have enough to make the 2 mittens, and I am looking forward to these. So this will be my entry for the Autumn Accoutrements KAL, and I am very excited about knitting these, so expect to see these cast on really soon. I'm really looking forward to them. I have the pattern bought, I just need to print it out. The yarn just came yesterday or the day before, and so I've now talked to you about it. I am in line, proper timing to be able to start knitting them. So these will be started soon. And so now we can get into yarn haul proper. I do have quite a bit to show you guys. It's so funny because I said, well, last week I only had 2 skeins, and I was like, I'm really not buying a lot of yarn. I'm really trying to be responsible and yada yada yada. And then that night at the yarn shop, I bought 3 skeins of yarn, because that's responsible. But I have good excuses, like this skein, which is 3 Irish Girls Adorn sock in the highlighter colorway, and it is so much brighter than is what's showing up on the screen. It is highlighter yellow. It really is highlighter yellow. This was in their sale bin, so I got this for $8, $6 less than what it originally retailed for, so I couldn't pass that opportunity up. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to use this for, but and I love it. And then Tiffany, who is the owner of Colorful Yarns, which is my local yarn shop in Centennial, posted on Instagram that that they're going to start doing monthly colorways, and I love that idea. And so the September colorway was this one, which was absolutely gorgeous. This is called Colorful September, and it is by Chasing Rabbits in the Fern base, which is an 85 superwash merino 15% nylon base, and it's gorgeous. I have some Chasing Rabbits in my stash, and I absolutely love it. She is an indie dyer, but as I've mentioned before, Tiffany really does well at having as many indie dyers in her shop available as possible, and so I will link Chasing Rabbit's shop down below. I love this colorway. So it's got this like navy base, and then this bit of blues and greens and purples that I think should just make a gorgeous pair of socks. And then since I was buying that skein, I felt like I should get the special colorway that they had dyed up for the yarn crawl that I did in August, the Yarner Along the Rockies. Tiffany had her do this colorway, which is also in Chasing Rabbits. This is called Colorful Yarns, so it is the Yarn Shop special colorway, and if you can see there, it's gray with the rainbow in there. There. So that's going to knit up amazingly. It's going to be mostly gray with just that line of colors every row or so. I absolutely love that look. I have a skein of Lemonade Shop that is similar, but they're thankfully different enough. So yeah, I'm looking forward to making those socks. And then, while I was at the shop, one of my dear friends, Melissa, who was probably my first friend that I ever made in Colorado, she had just recently gone to a fiber festival in South Dakota. She brought me back a skein as a gift. And, oh man, is it a gorgeous skein. So this is the Dyeing Arts, which is hand-dyed in Omaha, Nebraska. The base is fabulous, and the colorway is Space Unicorn Silver. Look at that, guys. Look at that. So on this end you've got black, and on this end you've got white, and in the middle you have rainbow perfection. It's so beautiful, and it's got silver stellina in it, so it's sparkly as well. And she got a skein for herself, and she got a skein for our other friend, Beth. So there's the three of us spend a lot of time together, and so we are talking about making something together, like matching projects, and I'm super excited about that. So yeah, I absolutely love this. So beautiful. I am assuming, yeah, thedyeingarts.com. So I will link her shop down below. This is so beautiful. But that's not all. I have this skein of Wild Happy Color in her crazy, well, it's her Nurture base, which is an 80-10-10 MCN, and it feels so lovely. And this is kind of a one-of-a-kind. It's called Crazy or High, and it has got just some beautiful chartreusey greens in there, and some regular greens, some yellow. There's a little bit of like pink in there, some speckles. I'm really excited to see how this knits. I am not sure I'm going to use this for socks because it is a very luxurious feeling MCN, and generally what I find with these MCNs that where you feel it and you're like, oh man, I just want to pet it all day, that the socks don't tend to last as or wear as well as some other MCNs. So I think maybe a hat or a KAL, like I could, yeah, this is definitely needs to be like next to my skin. So it's beautiful. And this is a new to me indie dyer, so I just discovered her shop recently. Somebody mentioned it on a podcast, and I apologize, I can't remember who it was. I watch too many podcasts. But I am happy that I have discovered her. And she included a little mittens progress keeper as well, and I love it when dyers do that. I frequently watch Helen and Mary Beth's podcast, The Crafty Toads. And they are a sister team in New Jersey. They are hilarious. They have such a fun podcast to watch. I really enjoy watching them every single time that they post. But they also have their own knitting, yarn dyeing, and bag making Etsy shop. And so it is Toad Hollow Yarns, and they have recently started doing gradients. And so I bought one, because how could you say no to that? Got it. This colorway is called Wild and Free, and it is on their Drusilla base, which is a 75-25 merino blend, and it's got like a pinky purple that goes into orange to yellow to red to green to blue. I absolutely love it. I am not sure what I'm going to do with this. My thought is socks. I know that a lot of people take these gradients and they make them into shawls, but I only have the one skein, and I'm not keen on a one skein shawl. Like, I won't really use it, so I'm still kind of thinking about it. I do like the idea of having a pair of socks that starts the gradient at one end of the sock and goes up it and then down the other one, you know, type of a thing. So we'll see. But I do love it. It's absolutely gorgeous. And that is it for the yarn, but I do have a project bag or two to show you. Last week when I was posting the thread for the a single strand giveaway, I needed to go onto Etsy to get the link for her shop. And while I was getting the link for her shop, I thought, well, you know what, I'll just look around and see what she's got in there. And then I bought a bag. Because how can you look at all those pretty bags and not want to buy one? So I bought this bag. Sorry, let me fluff it up a little bit. She does these, they do these pyramid bags, which are great for a single sock project. And has this great handle, so you can just put your sock in there and then zip it up, and then you can knit while you're walking and whatnot. And I loved this pumpkin fabric. It's absolutely gorgeous, and it's got this beautiful orange on the inside. You know me and orange. So I was super excited about getting this, and when I wrote to them and I said, here's why I purchased your bag, just out of the blue. And so anyway, she wrote me back a nice note, and she said that she was including a little surprise. And the little surprise is awesome, guys. It's this bag. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? So this is another one of their pyramid bags, and this is an extra special one. They are going to have, and I got permission to tell you guys about it, they're going to have 15 of these pyramid bags at Rhinebeck. They're going to have them inside a single strand bag, so you know who it is, and the first 15 people that come up to them and say, I love a single strand, is going to get a free bag. Is that awesome? Gosh, I wish I was going to Rhinebeck. All of you people that are going to Rhinebeck, I'm so jealous. One of these days I'm going to go. I've been saying that for like 7 years. One of these days I'm going to go to Rhinebeck. But anyway, you can get a free pyramid bag, and it has this awesome like autumn flower outside fabric, and then inside it's their logo. Let me see if I can get this open wider. Look at that. It's their logo, a single strand. Isn't that great? I love it. I got it upside down. There you go. Single strand. Ah. I absolutely think it's awesome. I'm so proud of them. They're really making this, their shop is really taking the world by storm. They are such talented bag makers. It's a mother and daughter team, and I just absolutely love their product and their generosity. And so, yeah, make sure that you go up to them right as soon as you see them at Rhinebeck and say, I love a single strand, because you'll get a free bag. 15 people getting a free bag. That's so awesome. And then lastly, I got this little shrinky dink stitch marker, and it's a little yarn ball. Oops, that's backwards. It's a little yarn ball, and it says, just knit. And I love it. I absolutely love it. I think I'm going to put a lobster clasp on it so that I can have it as a progress keeper, because I think it'd be perfect like that. So anyway, that is all that I have in my yarn haul. Yeah, I'm a little bit ashamed that it was so big, considering the fact that I was just talking last week about how I was really trying to limit my yarn purchases. Okay, so I guess we can get into reading now. That is the end of the knitting portion of this podcast. So if you are not interested in anything that doesn't have to do with knitting, then you are welcome to click off now. But if you are interested in knowing about some of the things that I am reading currently, then feel free to stick around. I am currently in the middle of 2 books that I am quite impressed with. The first one is Life After Life by Kate Atkinson. I'm listening to this on audio, though I have a physical copy of the book. And it's a very interesting story. It is, it reads like a literary historical fiction set in the early 1900s. And it is about Ursula Todd, who is born in February of 1910 and is born with the cord wrapped around her neck, and she dies. And then in February of 1910, Ursula Todd is born and survives and continues on and then dies when she's a child. And then in February of 1910, Ursula Todd is born and survives and goes on. And so it's Ursula Todd reliving the same life over and over and over again. And it's really, really interesting. I'm really, really enjoying it. It keeps going, like it goes to a certain point and then she dies, and then it goes back to her birth, and each time it goes back to her birth, there's a little bit more information given, a little bit more detail, and you learn a little bit more about the characters surrounding her, and I've really found it very interesting. I'm about 150 pages in, so there's still quite a lot left to go, so I am very interested to see where this story goes. But yeah, as I said, it reads like a literary historical fiction, so it's, if you like learning kind of about how life in England was, in the early 1900s, and then, it goes, so far we've gotten to like the Second World War, then there's a really good insight into that, and then, trying to figure out, why she keeps reliving her life and that kind of thing. I've just found it very, very interesting, and I am really looking forward to finding out more about Ursula Todd. And then another one that I am finding very captivating is this one. This is new. Sorry, it's a very shiny cover. This is Jane Unlimited by Cristi-Lael, and this just came out in September, I believe. And this is the story of Janie, who is a rather poor and directionless college dropout, who is kind of rudderless now because her Aunt Mildred, Aunt Winifred, Aunt Magnolia. She's kind of rudderless because her Aunt Magnolia, who was her guardian, and was a rather eccentric type of a person. She would travel across the world, and she would take photographs of sea life, and that was how she earned her living. She has recently died, and the one thing that Aunt Magnolia made her promise that Janie would do before at Magnolia. I said Magonia. I meant Magnolia. Before she went on her last excursion to Antarctica, which is where she passed away, she made Janie promise that if she was ever invited to the to Ravens, which is the estate of this wealthy family that they know, if she's ever invited there, then she has to go. And so she has gone, and some strange things are happening there that she's not entirely sure. And I've just gotten to past the first point, and it's kind of like, do you remember at the end of the movie Clue, where they're like, so maybe it happened like this, and they go through and it's got these people as the bad guys, and then it says, or it could have happened like this, and then it goes through the movie again, these people, but it actually happened like this, right? So it takes like 3 different paths. Well, that's kind of how it goes with this. There's a point where she can go and go in 5 different directions, and so it's kind of following each path. So I'm on the first path that she's taken, and following that down, and then I think we're going to go back to that point and then take the second one and then the third one, and it's really interesting, and I'm very intrigued, and I really want to know what is going on. It's a very subtle creepiness, but I am really, really enjoying it. This is not a quote-unquote scary book or a thriller or anything like that, at least not as well as I can tell, but it's one of those ones where you're like, ooh, that's weird. Why is that? And I'm really, really enjoying it. So Jane Unlimited, and I am sorry that you can't really see. It's covered in plastic from the library, and then it is also a shiny iridescent cover, so it's like impossible to put on camera. And those are really the only 2 things that I'm really excited about reading right now. I am still working my way through the final Land of Story book with the kids, and we are enjoying that, but it's no different. So yeah, that is all the reading segment. Kind of talk a little bit about some new things that are happening in my life, I guess. I want to apologize if I sound like, if I'm talking differently than I have in the past. I've mentioned several times before that their hearing loss runs in my family. My mom, my aunt, and my grandmother all have worn hearing aids since their early to mid-20s, and my grandmother has passed away, but my aunt and my mom both have cochlear implants now. My mom just got her second cochlear done this summer. And then my dad also wears hearing aids. He has a high frequency loss. He's been wearing hearing aids for the past 12 years, and he's never really been able to hear high frequencies. So it was inevitable that I was going to probably need some hearing something eventually in my life. I did fare better than the other women in my family, and I would like to say that this hits only the women. My uncle and my brother both have perfect hearing, but I knew that it was going to happen eventually, and I did do better than my mom. As I said, she got her first set of hearing aids when she was like 25. I did not start noticing a hearing issue until I was 27, when I was pregnant with Tatum, and I lost most of the hearing in my right ear. And then when she was 5 months old, I had what's called a stapedectomy surgery, where they took out my stapes bone and they replaced it with prosthetic, and that returned my hearing to normal. And then when I was pregnant with Delaney 3 years later, I lost most of the hearing in my left ear. So 5 years after I had this surgery done, I had this surgery done, and then, as I said, that returned my hearing to normal levels, and I've been good since then. So 2005 and then 2010. Well, the past year or two, I've really noticed that, especially on my right ear, my hearing has gone down, and I'm at the point now where if I'm laying on the bed with my left ear covered, I can't hardly hear anything. When I'm riding in the car and Delaney is sitting next to me, like on our way to school, I have a hard time understanding what she's saying because she's on my right side, and it's become a problem. And I knew that I was fine, that I was going to get there eventually. Even after the surgeries, the doctor said that this was only buying me some time, but that was okay. I had kind of accepted that reality a long time ago, and so just being able to buy some time was good enough for me. However, now it has gotten to the point where my time has been bought, and it's time to face the music, so that I can hear the music. So anyway, last Thursday I went to an audiologist, had my hearing tested, and found out that yes, I do need hearing aids, especially in my right ear, but also in my left ear. My left ear really only hears about 10 decibels better than my right ear. So so they sent me home with a pair of demo hearing aids. I know you can't see them. They're meant so that you can't see them. And I am trying to get used to them. I don't like it. Everything sounds funny. My voice sounds really loud, and that's why I'm saying that I apologize if I am talking funny, because my voice sounds loud, so I feel like I'm talking softer. So I don't know. It sounds weird. Everything is very tinny and loud, and I am amazed at how much I didn't hear before. I mean, I expected everything to be louder, but there are things that I didn't know made noise that now make noise. They're like, we have an alarm system, and I could hear the alarm when we'd open, go into the house, and it goes beep, 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 until you put in the code. I could hear that, but now it's so loud, it's annoying. Like, okay, put in the code right now because it's so annoying, make it stop. And then there are things like, I did not know that our stairs squeak. I had no idea that they made noise when you walked on them. No idea whatsoever. I come home from the doctor's with these new hearing aids in, and all of a sudden, the stairs are noisy. Like, all of them make noise. So these are, they are, it's amazing where technology has come in the past 30 years since my mom first started, or I guess 40 years since my mom first started getting hearing aids. And so I've watched her with her hearing aids and all the problems that she's had. One of the things that she's never been able to do is talk on the phone, because the aids would squeal when you put anything near them, and then she couldn't hear. She couldn't understand what people were saying, so she never talks on the phone. Well, the ones that I have, it's connected to my phone, so when I get a phone call, it goes straight into the earpiece of my, so they're talking right into my ear. It's amazing. So cool. I can't listen to my audiobooks, unfortunately, but there is an attachment that I guess I can wear around my neck that can hook into my audiobooks on my phone, which is good because I listen to audiobooks all the time whenever I'm out and about. But yeah, I'm really, really impressed. Now, these ones apparently are not exactly right. I talked with the doctor yesterday, and I'm having a little bit of problems. The right one keeps blowing out if there's too much noise. If I raise my voice, or if my kids are too loud or something, there's just a loud noise, then it blows out. It like it can't, you blow out a speaker, it's too loud, so it can't register it anymore. And I'm having some other minor issues with the sound quality, and so they're having me come in tomorrow to try out another pair. These are a demo, as I said, and so I'm going to demo another pair of a different brand and see if that's better. But there'll be some fine-tuning, but I have to say that I hear a lot better. There's a lot of things that I missed, but it is nice to be able to follow all the conversations and yeah, and just like hear everything that's going on. Now, the kids can be in the other room and talk to me, and I can hear them, and it's awesome. So yeah, I know that I will get used to all the extra noise. The first couple of days, it was so overwhelming. It's just like, okay, y'all need to go away. You are so noisy. Walk around for a couple of days with noise-canceling headphones on, and that's kind of how my life has been. And then take them off and just kind of realize how loud everything is. Everything is so loud in real life, and I've missed out on it for a long time. So it's quite an adjustment. But I do think that this is going to be good. And I am, as much as I am not enjoying having to wear them, I do know that it will probably enhance my life, and so I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, that I guess that is about it. I guess I will let you guys go. I've got to clean up my mess now. There's always a mess after I podcast because I pull like everything out, and there's lots of stuff that I get to put away now, and socks that I've made that can go into my sock drawer, and new yarn that I've now shown you I can put away in the place where the yarn goes, and yeah. So I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday, and I will talk to you guys later. Happy knitting.